Welcome to the barn where we party hard but hustle harder. Today we're with Poonam Kapoor from
The Ultimate Mind Center.
So Poonam, you actually reached out to me and I didn't want to have so much conversation before we started the podcast, so as to keep it as natural and real for you guys as possible. And I'm actually just going to ask you the questions as an expert in this field that I feel will suit me. So to start with, what made you reach out to us and our company, The Barn?
So Sahil, I know you for some time right now, and I was going through Instagram and your page came across. So I went to your YouTube channel and I saw the contents that you're coming up with.
Right.
Because I'm into mental health and so are you.
Right.
You put up a post on that. And I said it would be really nice if me and you could sit together and actually just create awareness which is lacking in today's society.
Okay, right. And you see that lacking in society, I'm very strongly for it.
Yeah.
Because like most people, if they get hurt on their leg, have a tummy ache, the first thing they'll do is let's go to a doctor, we
Yeah.
don't want to risk it. But now when it comes to issues of the mind, because it's not an actual physical wound, sometimes this mental health is very neglected. And as Gen Z, I must give credit to our generation because we are much more self-aware.
Yes.
But that being said, there has to be a lot of progress in this. So as you're the expert, you know about mental health.
Yes.
So what are your views on this?
So I think mental health is everything. If you're not healthy in the mind,
Right.
you can't be healthy in any part of your body, whether it's physically or because mental health is your emotions, it's your feelings, it's your thoughts. And if you feel like nothing is working for you, you need to know what it is, and that's mental health. Mental health is such a taboo in today's society
Right.
that people think you only go to a counselor or a therapist if you're mad or you're crazy.
Or you have
it's
something
so
seriously
much.
wrong with you.
Exactly,
Right.
but it's not.
Right.
You could be feeling low. You could be feeling emotions come up to you that you're just crying, you're just sleeping. And if we don't address those issues,
Right.
they lead to deeper problems later on in life.
Okay, and you touched on a very interesting concept right now, where you're like, it doesn't mean that there's something severely like
No.
wrong with you. If you're not feeling right, like you don't want to
Exactly.
sleep. So I know that you can be medically diagnosed
Yes.
with issues like depression and anxiety,
Yes.
where for some people it's advised to take medication.
Yes.
But is it true there's like levels to this idea?
Of course.
Yeah, so-
And the earlier you get to know and you're aware that I'm not okay. And I always say it's okay not to be okay.
Right.
We have a norm of, if I ask you, how are you feeling, Sahil? You'll just tell me, I'm fine. You could be crying.
Right.
But you'll come to me and you'll tell me, I'm fine.
So how do we start opening up that conversation? Because I feel that puts people in a very vulnerable position where they have to be themselves and show to the world what's truly breaking them. And the way society, as you say, has stigmatized it,
Yes.
it's like there's this mask.
Yeah.
How do we start getting that conversation going?
So for me, and my goal is
Right.
to accept who you are. Accept each emotion that comes to you. You're happy, you're sad, you're angry, but acknowledge the emotion.
Right.
Feel the emotion. Ask yourself, why am I angry?
And how do you do steps to becoming better at recognizing what I'm feeling? Because I also believe sometimes people are not able to express their feelings because they don't understand it themselves. So leave now let's get a bit deeper before we can have the conversation with someone else. How can you start having that conversation with yourself?
So when you're sitting and you don't know what's happening with you, take
Right.
a pause, reflect, close your eyes and see, what am I feeling?
Right.
We all know what we feel when we're angry. When we're happy, we know our moods. So I'll give you an example of anger. When you're angry, what's happening to your body? Are you shaking? Are you sweating? Are you shouting? What are you doing? Pause and reflect. Okay, I'm angry. Go back. What's made me angry? Because you're not going to become angry over nothing. There's something that has triggered your anger. So I want someone, and when you're working, let's say with myself,
Right.
what's made me angry? Okay, I've had a bad day at home because I've come up from a bad relationship. Okay, the guy is, I'm vulnerable because of him, and he triggers very sensitive points in me, and that makes me angry. Okay, I'm angry. This makes me angry. How am I reacting to the anger?
Right.
Write it down. Because when you write it down, you'll be able to understand step by step, and you will see it's a circle and every point connects to
So
each other.
active journaling
Yes.
works well.
Yes.
But
Every day. Every
journaling
day.
now addresses this is what I feel.
Yeah.
This is what I do about things
Yeah.
when I feel. I believe that's just step one in the problem.
Yes.
What do we do next?
So when it comes to step 2, you've acknowledged what's wrong with you.
Right.
Yeah. Talk to somebody. Have a community or have a social group where you can reach out. Don't keep it to yourself.
Right.
You know, when you talk it out, you feel the baggage has been taken off your shoulder. But the moment you keep it to yourself, you might be aware you're angry, yes, but then what next? Talk to somebody about it. Share what you're feeling.
That makes quite a lot of sense. It's like you're a water bottle, and if you keep filling it with water,
It's gonna spill.
It has a certain volume it can take. At a certain point, you push past that, it'll
It's
just
gonna
burst,
spill, yeah.
and it can come
It's
out
a
in very,
volcano.
very nasty ways.
Yeah.
It's touching on the topic of nasty. So there is productive things you can do with your anger,
Yes.
and then you have these other issues like we see in America, where people are entering classrooms and shooting down kids,
Exactly.
right? And we don't actually need to start villainizing the people, because there's a series of events that led up to that.
It doesn't just
Right.
happen overnight. These things start in our childhood. You wouldn't believe, as an adult, when I see adults, most of our problems start when we're children. Because as children, we are so cut off and shut down. When we feel something, we'll tell our child, keep quiet, go to your room. But we never sit down with the child and ask them, what is the problem? And trust me, they are intelligent human little beings there. They understand and they know what's going on with them.
And for someone who's like reached an adult,
Yeah.
I've heard it, because you touched on it, this philosophy of looking back
Yes.
and seeing why you are the way you are for
Yeah.
things in your childhood.
Yeah.
But for certain people, like if they don't have a memory of what has occurred and what led them to being where they are, how can they start unraveling that thread to get back to the root of the problem?
So with some people, we go back to the root of the problem. With people who remember, you acknowledge what's happened to you, you accept what's happened to you, you're grateful for what's happened to you, you learned your lesson from what's happened to you, and the next step is move on.
Right.
But you have to accept it. Only then you can
That's
move
the
on.
first step of grief.
Exactly.
You first have to
Exactly.
acknowledge it before you can
Yeah.
toss it away.
Exactly.
You can't
You can't
toss a
just-
ball you never
Yeah.
had in your hand.
And you can't just put it under the carpet and think,
Right.
okay, I'm not going to talk about it, my problem's gone. No, talk about it. Say what you're
And in
feeling.
figuring out why you feel about things, by understanding it, you can prevent those negative feelings from coming back in. Because when you see those red flags appearing, you can block it. So now, for people who have depression, anger, and everything, as far as we've reached this place in the story, to start with, we acknowledge the problem, then we figure out how you're acting towards the problem, and we analyze the whole situation. But now, what are productive things people who suffer with extreme anger, like I used to have, or people who are extremely depressed or suicidal, how can we now we've ticked the first box, we've registered everything that's wrong, move forward past that, and use these negative emotions to be channeled into productive output?
So Sahil, what I normally do with my clients when I get and I'm having a session with them,
Right.
what I will do with them, I will ask you questions. Just with your situation, there's certain questions that I will ask you, and you have the answers in you. I will not tell you what to do.
Right.
But there's certain questions that I'll ask and I'll probe, and automatically you will get the answer. The answers are within. All your answers are within on how to make you better. Yes, we do give suggestions on what to do. I'll talk about meditation, I'll talk about yoga.
Also, it's figuring out,
Exactly.
if I do this,
Yeah.
like, look, something bad has happened to me, I feel a certain way. I have option A and I have option B
So I'll
in
ask
front
you.
of me. Which one picking would be more helpful for your life? So it comes down to like principles such as Buddhism, where now you start, once you understand your feelings, see
your
how
journey.
you can drive those
Yes.
feelings into get
I'll
productive
trigger
output.
you. I'll
Right.
trigger you for you to really think. I'll give you an example here. Sahil's angry. Okay, what makes Sahil angry? We've dealt with that part. What
Right.
can Sahil do to control his anger? I've made you think.
Right.
I'll give you time. I'll tell you, write it down. You'll come up with me with 3 options on how you can deal with your anger.
Right.
What works best for you?
Right.
And through your options that you've come up with, we will execute the plan.
But you seem really passionate and you have it like all figured out with step-by-step
Yeah.
things. So I want to dive in now a bit into you
Yeah.
as to what, like this business. Why did, at the end of the day, we get into business, maybe money is a side of things,
Yeah.
but there's definitely has to be a level of passion which we see with you.
Yeah.
And I know you were an interior designer for 8+ years.
Yes.
So now, what made you leave that side of a career to coming into something very like different from interior design and something very emotional? What are the steps that led you to getting where you are? And what are you doing today for those who are suffering with these issues with your company?
So for me, I've been into the construction field for a very long time, and I underwent through depression, and it was mild depression, and I had an emotional burnout where I didn't want to do anything, I didn't want to talk to anybody, I was crying, I didn't know what happened to me, and one day I hit rock bottom. And when I hit rock bottom, I picked myself up and I said, enough is enough, I need help.
Right.
And for me, that was the day things changed for me. I sought help, I got the help, and I healed. I know the difference it made for me and what space it brought me out from. I couldn't say no. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't even know what boundaries are.
Right.
But when I started looking deep, I became self-aware. I got to know who I am.
So just
I
the
realized,
things you were explaining,
exactly.
it just happened for you.
It happened to me.
Oh,
I
so you've
walked
gone
the
through
journey.
it.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, and that's when I said I want to go out there and I want to help other Poonams and other children and all human beings out there in the society who are suffering, because I want to remove them. I call it a dark hole.
Right.
I want to remove them from their dark hole and say, hey, life is not so bad. You know, let's live, let's walk,
So
let's love.
It's simple as that. Right.
Yeah.
So,
But you have to be willing.
so what specifically does your company do for now these willing individuals? Of course, the first step is on your own. You have to address that there's an issue, and then reach out to us.
Yes.
And I'm sure she'll listen to you. Like literally, she's so sweet. She replies to all my messages. Just reach out to her. Like she's a complete stranger. She won't even charge you for this.
Yes.
Just ask her, like tell her this is what you're going through, and I'm sure you'll get some valuable advice.
Exactly.
But so now you've addressed the problem is that now we come to you to where we mentioned some of these methods like unraveling the thread and analyzing your patterns. How have you qualified yourself in this field, and what specifically does your company do for these individuals?
So I just recently opened up the Ultimate Mind Center.
Right.
I'm a counselor and I'm a life coach. So depending
What's the difference? I've always wondered.
Yeah, so a counselor is someone who's going to dig into your roots of if there's a problem, will analyze maybe it's anxiety, stress, and remove you and shift your focus from what your problem is to normalize life.
Right.
So life coaching is when you know what you want, but you don't know how to get it. There's nothing wrong with you,
All right.
but you're stuck. You know, it could be a transition in life, it could be a career move, it could be midlife. Yeah, and we just work with you in that way. And again, with your goals, what you want, help you achieve them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, one final thing, and I know we have loads of things to talk about, and guys, soon we're releasing our very own boot camp, which we need to give you details about, where if you have not a very tight budget, but you feel like you're suffering something from mental illness, whether it be depression, anxiety, bipolar tendencies, you're just angry and you can't figure out why, you're just sad and you're not motivated to do the things you love, this course will help you first addressing those issues by giving you a step-by-step questionnaire and a series of videos to like give you a bit more personal touch to try and explore what you're feeling. More details for those are coming soon, so you want to follow her on Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, comment, and just get in our niche so that when this thing comes out, you do not miss out on. Right. So before we conclude this segment, the main target audience we have are entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs who want to do something in this sphere. And I'm sure many people are very passionate about mental health and want to do a career in this niche. But you know how society is like. If you're not doing like medicine, you're not a doctor. If you're not going to an engineering school and you want to be a life coach on the internet, it's somewhat demonized.
Yes.
So what I want to ask you, someone who's actually practicing this career path, what are some of figures that people could make in this industry, and how could they grow their business to doing well in the long run if they wanted to pursue a career path in this?
So with counseling and life coaching, it's all about helping the people and giving back to the society.
Right.
And in return, because we're not looking at money as such,
All right.
but in return, you do make a good amount of money that can sustain you, can sustain your bills, and you can have a happy life.
So for sure, and if you're enjoying what you're doing,
Of course,
in
money is natural,
we
it's gonna
don't-
come
so
in.
we don't need to put like a figure that you get this X amount,
No.
Y amount.
No.
But if you're able to do something you're passionate about, to wake up every single day and do it. I see you doing this with a fantastic smile
And
on
there's
your
so
face.
much
Right,
satisfaction.
and you're paying all your bills,
Exactly.
so you're living life,
I'm living
and
life.
maybe you save up a little bit for traveling here and
Yeah.
there. What could be more beautiful
I
than
work
that?
at my time.
Right.
I schedule my appointments at my time.
Right.
I'm not fixated to an 8 to 5 job.
Right.
When I finish work and I finish with a client and I've shifted a mindset from
Right.
A to B, there's so much satisfaction that you get.
You hear that, guys? If you enjoy this sphere, or just because you love speaking to people and you can't be at a desk job where you have to be writing every day, or you love talking, or you want to be on camera, for whatever reason it may be, if your heart tells you that you want to pursue this, it's a more than beautiful career path.
It's lovely.
Sorry, Poonam, we're running out of time for today's segment. I'm sure Ken I can see he's upset there in the background that this video has already gone above time. But it was really,
Yes.
really lovely doing this. And guys, as we told you, make sure you follow us on everything so you get future updates.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
see